Hello and welcome to Letters Home, a story of a World War II B-17 pilot from Lowell, Michigan, in his own words. And he just so happens to be my grandpa. I'm your host, Annie Whitlock, and I'm joined by my co-hosts, my dad, Mitch McMahon, my aunt, Lori McMahon Summerfield, and Dale Croft from the Lowell Historical Museum.
In each episode of Letters Home, we're going to dive into letters written by my dad during his time in World War II that he sent to his parents, siblings, and friends back home in Lowell, Michigan. We'll be reading his own words and giving some context as to what was happening in the world and in Lowell at the time he wrote these.
In this episode, we read Dad's description of his room, we learn about the Lowell Rotarians, and we find out what happened to Dad's crew after a disastrous mission.
Yep, so before we get into it, we have an addition. So last episode, I had no idea what a composite group was, and we had some guesses.
Right.
But Dale has since discovered what a composite group was.
Well, a
Tell us
composite
now.
group was a combination of different types of bomber aircraft. And Bruce was in the one over Kiel. If you go to our website and see, I found the map. And off to the side, there's a line drawn. And then Bruce's fortress or group of composite planes is in that group. So a composite group consisted of what they call different categories. A very heavy was a B-29 Super Fortress and a B-39 or B-32 Dominator. And then a heavy group was called the B-17 Flying Fortress and the B-24 Liberator. So when that composite group took off for Kiel, there was B-29 Super Fortress, a B-32 Dominator, a B-17 Fortress, and B-24 Liberators all in one group, and that was called a composite group.
So just different types
All
of
the different types.
Different categories
aircraft.
of plane. They put them as categories, very heavy or heavy.
All
Okay,
right.
well, that's
Well, that
interesting.
makes
So, yeah,
sense.
it was, because I was
Okay.
going, I wonder what it is.
Right. So yeah, if any listeners know of any too, or want us to correct something, or if you have an addition, comment, message us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, or email, whatever it is, and we will try to add it in and rectify it in a future episode. So we're going to start today with a couple of letters where Bruce is describing his surroundings for lack of anything else to talk about because everything else is censored. So this letter is from January 29th, 1944, in his own words.
4:30 in the afternoon. Dear Mom and Dad, phew, remember those days of mine at Western State? Well, my work's all done for the day, and so I'll write a letter to you about like those days at Western. I think maybe I'll send you a cablegram tomorrow because it's been a few days since I wrote one to you, and you enjoyed the last one so much. Guess what I have in my back pocket? Give up? Okay. 2 oranges. As you know, they're pretty scarce in this island, and I suppose you've heard all about the ones they sent from Spain with the bombs in them. Well, that incident has had quite a few repercussions in this country. In fact, it was mentioned the other night when the newscaster spoke of USA cutting off the supply of oil, etc., that they've been shipping to them. So as I eat this orange, I'll tap off a few words to you. My hands and face are so dirty that I feel sticky all over. After I leave here, I'll go down to the room, heat some water up, and really get scrubbed up. Guess I could do with a shave, too. Well, not much to write about around here. Someday I'll spend a couple of weeks just telling you about the things I didn't have to write about around here. Of course, writing about missions is out, except in a vague sort of way. To even mention specific data about weather is also taboo. That only leaves some things like, got my laundry back today, wings in my little coal stove. But I know that even though these things sound pretty commonplace to me, they're interesting to you. Maybe I'm taking a lot for granted there. For myself, I know that all you have to do is write, Dad's in the bedroom, or Mom's down at Veda's for supper, and it's as interesting to me as anything you can write. Well, here I've been writing paragraph after paragraph about writing letters, and this one is just about filled. I was going to write a good letter, but now I'm just a bit too tired to think of anything right now, tonight. So in my room, I may add a few lines to this, so for now, so long. Now in my room, I'm too damn lazy to write more, so good night, and God keep you, your loving son, J. Bruce.
Yeah, so for the listeners, this letter is mostly typed, except when he says, but now in my room. And that's when he was apparently back in his room and hand wrote how lazy he was. So,
And I think I said damned, but it was darned.
yeah, don't add
Darned.
the swears.
I'm
where
sorry.
Bruce
He said, but I'm too darned lazy. He didn't say damned. So, all right. Yeah,
Not to
there we
his
go.
parents, apparently. He won't. He
No.
would never. He
No.
would never.
Maybe to Barney, but not
Maybe
to
to, yeah, or to Raj. But this orange thing he talks about is real, kinda. Apparently, there was a rumor that the Nazis were putting bombs in orange crates from Spain, so they'd be sent to the UK.
Oh, wow.
So there was kind of like an uproar about it.
Oh,
People
yeah.
were very nervous about it. I don't know if any bombs were actually in orange crates, but that was the suspicion. That was the rumor. So, because I Googled it, I'm like, because at first I thought he was talking about there were bombs in the literal oranges.
Yeah, that's what I was picturing.
Like the fruit would explode.
Little tiny one.
So I was like, I'm going to Google this. But not quite. And I don't know if it's actually happened or what. But yeah, so he's referencing that rumor. And he also wrote a letter where he described his room in detail. And so we're going to read this letter that's describing a sketch of the room that he did. But I don't think we actually have the sketch. So I couldn't find it. So somehow
I haven't seen it either.
somehow the sketch itself got lost. But the letter is pretty great. So in his own words.
Thursday, January 13th, 1944. Dear Mom and Dad, rather than write a letter tonight, I've tried to sketch my room from one end of this desk. I didn't come out artistic-like, but it will give you an idea of my room. The blackout blinds are naturally up now, but I had to show them in the daytime. Fact is, we often get purple air raid warnings, but nothing's ever dropped very close to the field. At night, I only have the desk and bed lamps on, but there are two hanging from the ceiling. Also, that coal scuttle isn't usually that full. There are quite a few pictures on the walls that I have cut out, and also a regional map of Michigan, Ohio, Illinois, and Indiana. The floor is covered with heavy, deep red covering, cement underneath, and those rugs are as big as they show in the sketch. There's some I collected from places here on the base. As you can see, I have just about everything but a piano. Major Oda lives next door, and Major Miyazi lives across the hall. We have a PA system connected in our rooms, but I don't have a radio. I go into the Major's room to hear most of the programs. If there are any questions on this sketch, except for where the fourth leg is on the desk, ask him, and I'll try to clean them up. Good night, dearest Mother and Dad. Your loving son, Jay Bruce. P.S. There are 4 legs on this desk, but I missed one of them.
I really wish we had this sketch.
Oh, that's so
I don't
funny.
know. And he put collected the rugs in quotes. Like clearly he's been taking them from places
somewhere,
around the base.
Somewhere.
Yeah, I really would love
Make it
to
more
see
homey
it.
to make it more homey, I guess.
I guess
right?
so. It sounds kind of nice. I mean,
Yeah,
it doesn't
cement
sound
underneath. Yeah.
doesn't sound that bad.
No.
So and he has his own room, as we've known from other letters. I'm pretty sure. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Sounds kind of cozy, actually. So now it's time to get into our segment where we talk about what was going on in the world and in Lowell in January 1944. And because Bruce can't talk at all about his missions, he talks about other things going on, like oranges and sketching his room. But this V-mail, he writes, is from January 16th, 1944, in his own words.
Sunday night. Dear Mom and Dad, this is the first V-mail I've written to you in quite a long time. As a rule, I believe you'd prefer to get airmails, so I've been using them mostly. Today has been rather uneventful, except for dinner today. We had southern fried chicken. It was cooked very well, and I really stuffed myself. I'll probably have all sorts of nightmares tonight. I received a letter from Byrne today, and he had 5 Mountain Boy cartoons in it. I sure get a kick out of them. I've already taped them up on my wall. I also received a letter from Kay Phelps, Hoyt's wife, and a snapshot of Hoyt Jr. A V-mail from Sis made it 3 letters for today. Not bad, eh? Gee, Dad, your 2 cartons of gum came yesterday, and thanks a lot. That ought to be enough gum to last me until I can buy my own at Chris's. God bless you. Your loving son, Jay Bruce.
Y'all remember Hoyt Phelps? Yeah. He was the friend that went to Santa Ana with him, and then he died in a plane crash in 1943. And so we get a mention of his wife, Kay, and his son, Hoyt Jr.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So he gets a letter and a little picture. So that's nice.
Very cool.
And apparently fried chicken and gum.
Yeah.
2 things I did not know, really, that Grandpa liked, although we know he likes candy, so I guess gum is probably the same thing. And he's going to buy it at Chris's.
Yep.
Christensen's Drugstore, right?
Yeah.
Our home to all of us.
Yeah.
As our generations moved along.
And we have several of the Mountain Boys cartoons on our
Mountain Boys, yeah.
the PDFs of the letters. He frequently did get them from Byrne and would put them up there. So we have those. So he writes also some family things the next day in a regular airmail. So remember, the V-mails are shorter. He can only fit them on one page, but the airmail letters are ones he can just write as much as he wants. So in his own words.
Monday night, January 17th, 1944. Dear Mom and Dad, how's everything going? For some reason, earlier this evening, I got kind of a queer feeling that something might be wrong at home. Once before, when I was at Michigan State, I had that something when Grandma May died. But I suppose I'm really silly, and it's probably something I ate. It's just one of the few drawbacks to being an Irishman, eh? I can say that since I've come over here, I've worried less about your health. I don't know why. Maybe because everyone says you're both taking it like thoroughbreds. Even John Gallagher said so in his letter. Still, just because I don't worry as much as it doesn't mean I don't worry. I do worry very much. That's why it means so much to say, God watch over you, no matter where I go. He is always there to answer my prayers. Through him, I can always be with you, no matter how many miles separate us. I was in London for an afternoon a few days ago. Saw a good movie. Fred McMurray, Dot Lamore in And the Angels Sing. It was a swell picture and had some good songs in it. Don't miss it if you get a chance to see it. Gosh, aren't the papers second front crazy? I'll bet the word invasion is printed 1,000 times a day just in the London papers alone. Well, maybe there'll be something doing about it, or be doing something about it soon. We all hope. Wings just yawned. I'm afraid the light's keeping her awake. So God bless you and let nothing happen to you. Your grateful son, J. Bruce.
First of all, this letter was written one day after stuffing himself with Southern Fried Chicken, so how quickly
He
forgot.
didn't piece that together.
He didn't piece that together. But
He said he thought he'd have nightmares.
Yeah,
And
I
then he
know.
had a queer feeling.
And then he had a nightmare. So this is history. We can piece those things together when we read the letters.
No fried chicken for you.
No fried chicken for you. I did some very basic research, and I don't know. I don't know who Grandma May is, and obviously it appears she had died, when Bruce was much younger, like at Michigan State. So you all wouldn't know her either, but she might have been Lotta's mother. Lotta's mother's name was Elizabeth, but it's possible they could have called her May. And Frank's mom was Margaret, right? So they could have called her May. But I don't know. I don't think she died around the time.
I'll
I
have
don't
to
know.
look up 19. Well, when.
That's the years I'm not sure, because he said he was at Michigan State when Grandma May died.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know. I got to go put those years together. I'm not really sure.
Gail, if you're listening, phone in.
Always got it.
Stop me at Meyer and tell me.
Yeah, so TBD on that one, but it's probably either maybe it's someone else entirely, and it's just someone he called like great grandma even or something. I don't know. But he also saw a movie in London. We get another mention of a movie which we haven't done in a while. So Dale, what can you tell us about this movie And the Angels Sing?
Well, And the Angels Sing is a 1944 American musical comedy film. It is a classic example of a film written to capitalize on the title of a previously popular song, in this case, Benny Goodman's 1939 #1 hit, And the Angels Sing, which wasn't even used in the movie, though. It is about the singing, dancing angel sisters, Nancy, who's Dorothy L'Amour, Bobby, who is Betty Hutton, Josie, who is Diane Lynn, and Patty, who is Mimi Chandler, aren't interested in performing together. They do accept an offer of $10 to sing at a dubious nightclub on the edge of town where a band led by Happy Marshall, Fred McMurray, is playing. Bobby takes the $10 and runs it up to $190 at the dice table. Happy hits on Nancy, but she rebuffs him. He doesn't have the money to pay his band and borrows the gambling winnings from Bobby on the pretext that he will give her a job with his band. Bobby discovers the next day that Happy has hastily departed for New York. The girls follow to a nightclub where he is working. After an audition, the manager is willing to give Happy a contract if the girls will sing with his band.
Of course,
There
of
it
course.
is. And the angels sing.
Yeah.
All about the angel sisters.
Oh my gosh, he does love these musical
Yeah,
and we've talked about Fred McMurray before.
Oh, yeah.
He's
Oh, yeah.
the
He was
he's the
big stuff
flubber
back
guy,
then.
right?
Yeah.
My Three Sons or whatever.
Oh,
So
yeah.
he loves a good movie with Fred McMurray in it.
Dorothy Lamour was big stuff. Betty
Yeah, I
Hutton.
think we've talked about her too. I think we've mentioned
Yeah.
her before
That seems
too.
like ages ago when we were talking
Yeah.
about Son of Flubber.
I know.
And Flubber wasn't really, somebody told us that Flubber wasn't really the name of the
That's right. That's
movie.
right. That's right.
And I don't know who any of these people were until this podcast. So now
Yeah,
I
there
see
you go.
Fred McMurray. I'm like, I know him now.
Oh, yeah,
There we
he's-
go.
yeah.
I'll see if I can stream this movie and the Angels Sing. We'll see how it goes. Oh my goodness. Well, Bruce also mentions in another letter the Lowell Rotary Club, the Rotarians, of which Frank is, of course, a member. So we'll read this next letter from January 27th in his own words.
Dear Mother and Dad, I've been certainly a long ways from keeping up my correspondence with you. I've been uneasy for the last few days because I haven't had a chance to write you. It always worries me when I can't get a letter off to you because I know that there will be a slack period for you about 2 weeks after that time. But you must believe me when I say that I'll try the best I can to keep a good flow of letters to you. Since I've last written to you, I've received 2 letters from you, Mother, and also 2 from you, Dad. Your last letter, Dad, was written after that Rotary meeting when you took Bill Lally. When I'm home again, I'll really make a point to compose a good talk for your meeting. It's a cinch I'll have plenty to talk about. I'd imagine that a recounting of just one of my experiences over Germany would contain enough thrill for them. I'm sure that I could sell the 8th Air Force to them. Well, January is almost over and soon spring will be coming. I know that you're just getting the real winter, but it always seems that like after the first month is over in the year, that the others come in a hurry. You'll be surprised how fast these next few months go because of the big events that are due to take place. If during the invasion our losses are high, I'll wire you every week, and in this way try to alleviate some of your anxiety for me. After this time, it'll only be a short time until I come buzzing over the hill to give you your first look at a fortress doing a little low-altitude work. One of these babies doesn't have to take a back seat from any of our pursuit jobs on tree topping. Just write and tell me which trees you want bobbed on the front hill, and I'll do the job for you in great shape. I'll promise you that I'll do a smoother job than you can do with a pair of trimmers. Also, with these paddle props, the noise won't be so great that it'll scare the whole town. First thing you should know is you'll be looking out the front window and you'll see some 20-some ton flying metal go between the flagpole and that tree on the crown of the hill. Scared? Well, if I'm going to make good on all these promises, I better get to sleep so I can finish this job first. Good night, my dearest parents. May God watch over you until my return. Don't worry too much for me because He is watching over your son, Bruce.
Aw.
I know.
This is so funny that he could be, he's joking about trimming the trees on Reservoir Hill in his B-17, just coming through, doing some yard work. Dale, go ahead.
Just imagine seeing that. I mean,
I know.
that huge plane. I mean, it's like, oh, wow.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
But yeah, he talks about the Rotary Club. And Dale, what can you tell us about the Lowell Rotary Club?
Well, I'll give you a little history. The Rotary International is a global network of clubs uniting to take action and create change. The first club was founded in 1905, so professionals with diverse backgrounds could exchange ideas and form meaningful, lifelong friendships. Since its Chicago beginnings, it has grown to over 35,000 clubs internationally. The Lowell Rotary Club was chartered in 1935. Over time, Rotary gradually extended to humanitarian service as well. With nearly 90 years of existence in Lowell, the local organization has a long history in the community, with some current members having joined in the 70s and 80s. One of the longest serving members is Wendell Christoph, whose grandfather was one of the founding charter members.
Oh, wow.
While the Lowell Rotary Club was chartered by a group of businessmen, the first woman member was Linda Zakic, I guess. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. Joined in 1988.
Go Linda.
The first female president of the local organization came in 1995 with Sylvia Taylor, who was headed our post office for a while too.
Go Sylvia.
Yeah.
1995, that took way too long.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
There are currently approximately 60 members of the group that meets every Wednesday at noon at City Hall. Rotary has a long list of causes it supports, including ending polio, providing clean water, supporting education, growing local economies, and protecting the environment. The Lowell Club has been involved in both local and international endeavors surrounding these efforts. One of the local efforts is a foundational branch. It started in 2000 with the sole purpose of providing scholarships to Lowell graduates. Over $20,000 is given away each year.
Yeah.
Wow.
To date, over 100 scholarships have been given out. Thousands of dollars have been raised to help provide water filters for families in Haiti. Not only have adult Rotarians supported this issue, but elementary students in the Early Act program have also raised funds. Rotary programs in high school, middle school, and elementary school provide younger generations with the opportunity to learn about serving and giving back. The group's biennial auction raises funds for a variety of club-sponsored efforts, including the Lowell Showboat 6, playground equipment for Richards Park, as well as international projects such as wells in Ethiopia, housing in Honduras, water filters in Haiti and the Dominican Republic, and books in South Africa. Lowell Rotary Club has a board consisting of 11 members. The group also has several committees that work on various projects. During weekly meetings, lunch is served, business is taken care of, and a speaker from other organizations typically makes. And we have I don't want to tell a clue, but Bruce will end up being one of the speakers at one of the Rotary meetings here in the near future.
I'm sure he says he would.
Right. And the Lowell Rotary Club is open to anyone in the community that wants to become a member. So those wishing to learn more about the group can speak with a current member or check out the club's website and Facebook page. So they do a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and have been for a very long time, clearly.
90 years.
I've got something at home if I can find it. I saw it's a certificate of some sort to Frank.
That'd be nice to
Grandpa
put
Frank
in
with the
YouTube.
Rotary.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll look for it
cool.
again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I think Bruce actually spoke when he was on leave too. Like when he came home, that was one of the things. Like he must have gone with Frank to a meeting. So I think he's been a frequent speaker at the Rotary Club. I'm sure he's got lots to talk about for
Very
sure.
cool.
Yeah, that's a nice little Lowell history there. Now it's time for our segment where we reveal information we know about Bruce's flight missions. For this information, of course, we have to consult flight records and mission diaries from the historical website of the 306 Bomb Group and all of its squadrons. On January 24th, 1944, Bruce flew a mission to Frankfurt, Germany that was aborted. Didn't go so well. Didn't even start. So this is from the Combat Diary.
Frankfurt, recalled. The 368th supplied 13 aircraft for today's missions and flew 2 squadrons in the 306 B Group. Captain William Katz headed the lead squadron, including Lieutenants Philip Field, Albert Wren, Carl Grending, Floyd Brunn, Walter Kilt, and J. Bruce McMahon. Lieutenant Brunn returned early with the number 4 engine out. Lieutenant McMahon returned after first delayed at takeoff by changing aircraft and then missing group rendezvous and losing number 4 engine. Considerable difficulty was experienced at assembly due to low clouds in an attempt to climb through the overcast in formation failed, so the wings formations really never did get together. Crews described this part of the mission as very rugged with planes everywhere. Weather closing in at bases caused the recall.
Oh, yeah. So this bad weather, this is going to be a common theme here. I mean, it is January, so probably kind of hard to fly. So he flew another mission to Frankfurt a couple of days later, where the weather was still too cloudy to drop bombs. Bruce flew this mission as a co-pilot, though, with William Katz as the pilot. Another very important mission happened during this time, but it didn't directly involve Bruce. On January 11th, Will Reed, a pilot that has flown with Bruce many times, we've talked about Will on this podcast before, and so Will Reed flew with a crew that Bruce has flown with many times, and their plane disappeared on a mission to Halberstadt. And so this is from the Combat Diary about that mission.
Halberstadt. This is one of those missions when it happens. The ground personnel as well as crews on the mission will long remember the activities of this day. Some of all the hazards and risks possible occurred. The 368th flew lead in the 306th group, which in turn led the 40th Combat Wing. 9 aircraft were dispatched. About 1 hour and 10 minutes after leaving the target, 30 to 35 FW-190s made desperate attacks on the 306th, which was now flying alone. Enemy aircraft repeatedly attacked in waves of 4. At the start of the attack, there were 19 aircraft in our formation. 7.5 minutes later, only 11 were visible. The attacks were terrifying. However, 2 of the 8 ships made it to England by evasive action and excellent piloting. The accompanying PFF aircraft had its tail shot off in the first attack wave. 8 chutes came out. The one aircraft of the squadron, Lieutenant W. Dale Reeds, is missing. The fighter attacks continued intermittently for 2 hours. No friendly fighter escort was seen at all. This was probably due to the recall of some of the bomb divisions. Only one 368th aircraft escaped damage. 5 of the ships received serious damage, including Colonel Robinson's. It was further observed that the enemy-manned Allied aircraft were along the route observing. Some were B-17s and others appeared to be RAF Spitfires. Enemy aircraft dropped chute bombs, and ground rockets were seen along with bursting flak from nearby cities en route. After weathering the storm of attacks over the continent, the remaining ships learned on approaching England that the home field was socked in. With darkness creeping up, time and fuel were all important. Landings were made at Hethold 2nd Division by Lieutenant Smith and Grending. Colonel Robinson, with Lieutenant Russell Lund as co-pilot, and Lieutenants Brunn, Tripp, and Coleman landed at RAF Fowlsome. After driving into the night, part of the crew were reached, and the remainder the next day at Fowlsome. Weather being unfavorable for takeoff, all the ships were grounded, and another night was spent with the RAF, who really extended themselves to make all comfortable and inebriated. All in all, it's believed that the most cordial relations were established between the Eager Beavers and the RAF. The next day, the flights to home base were quick and uneventful.
Ooh, so everything that could go wrong went wrong on this mission. So they had FW-190s attacking, and they didn't have their fighters to help them because it was bad weather. You had Germans, if we catch this, that were in Allied planes. So an enemy-manned B-17s and Spitfires. So somehow the Germans had gotten a hold of
one.
Their planes and were, spying, and that must have been incredibly confusing. And then all that bad weather. And we remember Will Reed, Bruce's former co-pilot from a previous episode, and he was flying with most of Bruce's crew, and all of them were missing after this raid. And Bruce has written about these men. So all of these men are in a picture on the front of Bruce's scrapbook, and he has their names, and he has their signatures and their call signs and stuff. But on the back of the scrapbook, Bruce wrote a paragraph about what he later learned happened to these men, and it's interesting to know. I don't know when he learned this information or how, but he does seem to know what happened to some of them. So we'll read a little bit of that from his scrapbook. So in his own words,
Reed got it over Germany 3 weeks after Christmas. All the crew was with them, plus a new bombardier. Schaeffler and O'Connell were killed as fighters ripped them to ribbons. The rest cleared the ship. Reed was captured. Cole and Glaze escaped back to England, and Gomborski and Owen were shot by a German execution squad.
Yeah, so I don't know when he learned the fate of all these men, but of course, I'm like, well, I'm going to do some digging here. So I'm going to spend a night. My husband's like, what are you doing? I'm like, don't ask. I'm looking up obituaries of men from World War II. But I did a lot of digging mostly in the 306 historical website to try to find out what happened to the rest of the crew, maybe after Bruce wrote that scrapbook. So I found out that O'Connell did not die with the plane, actually. Bruce was mistaken. It was just Schaeffler, and I think they're co-pilot or something. But O'Connell, Will Reed, Cole, and Glaze, these 4 men that he mentioned, they were all captured after their plane crashed in the Netherlands, but they did make it back to England. Cole and Glaze, in particular, escaped the prison camp, I think. I don't know. I don't think Will Reed escaped the prison camp, but either way, they all made it back home after the war and lived long lives afterwards. So
that's great.
At least those 4 have a happy ending. Glaze died in 1984, Cole died in 1988, O'Connell died in 1989, and Reed died in 2000. So they were able to come home and live decades later. So that's all good news. But Bruce was right about Gomborski and Owens. They apparently lived in the Belgian woods for 3 months with a resistance group called the Belgian Underground, and before they were all captured and killed by a German execution squad, just as Bruce described. The 2 men plus this entire Belgian underground and some other Americans that were with them. There is a memorial to the Belgian underground in Belgium, to this resistance group, and this memorial references Jimbrowski and Owens and the other Americans that died with them in that execution squad. So there's a memorial to this in Belgium. So I'm going to try to put pictures of all these men individually on Instagram. I'm going to kind of figure out how we can pay tribute to these guys, because this one particular mission was just probably devastating for Bruce, I would imagine. So
And how did you find out about the memorial in Belgium?
That I found on the 306 bomb group Instagram. So they had
that's very cool.
They had or the museum, one of the two. They had the memorial, a picture of the memorial.
Imagine living
up there.
3 months, in the fort,
I know.
and then only to be killed. Oh my
I
goodness!
know. And I'll send some to you, Dale,
Yeah.
if I can do that.
Send
Enough
that
time
my
for our
way.
YouTube video.
Yeah.
But it's amazing. Just, you can go down a rabbit hole, like looking for some of
Wow.
these things. So I often wonder, like, if Bruce ever kept in touch with any of them, or if he knew they made it back to the U.S. Like, maybe he didn't know. Maybe he just literally never found out what happened to
I do know
some
that
of
we
them.
got the mailings.
Yeah.
He frequently got the mailings from the 306. So,
Yeah, that's where I'm getting most of this information.
so I
honestly.
know he read those. He read those. So I mean, he just didn't share that. He didn't share the information with us. I mean, whatever.
Sure. Yeah.
Unless, I know Chuck must have talked to him. Brother-in-law Chuck, I know, was very interested in. He liked history and stuff
Sure,
too.
yeah.
And I remember being there a couple times when Dad would read those mailings, and a couple times they called. I remember saying that too. They called him and asked him questions
Yeah.
and stuff. So that's
Yeah,
pretty
so
cool.
I think what you're talking about is what they call the Echoes. It was a newsletter
Yes. Yep.
that they sent, and they had reunions.
Yeah.
We could go. They still have them, by the way. We could go. I mean, I don't know how many people are left.
Dad was not interested. Yeah.
No, he didn't want to. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't know if he made it to any reunions.
He was always
but-
kind about that, but he said, I don't want to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
But anyway, well, that's some sad news. All those heavy losses from that particular mission. But we're gonna finish today with a letter that Bruce wrote on January 12th, with just some interesting and maybe some lighter news to end with, in his own words.
Wednesday, January 12th, 1944. Dear Mom and Dad, this morning, it's now 4 in the afternoon, I sent you another cablegram. From your papers, you read of our losses yesterday, and so I wanted to let you know that I was okay. I'll try to do this each time so you won't be worrying. But if you don't always hear from me right away, don't worry. A lot of things could prevent me from cabling right afterwards. Now here's a secret, but you mustn't let it out of the family. Lately, I've been considering having a partial plate put on my upper teeth. Well, after checking with the dentist, he said that I might as well have all my uppers out and have a full plate. I decided to do just that. It won't cost me a penny for all the work, nor the plate, and they'll do a good job on plates, so I think of the money I'll save. Also, now that I'm over here, it's an ideal place to be walking around without teeth, for as long as it takes for my gums to settle. No one will ever know the difference back home, and that's why you must keep it a secret. Slick, ain't I? Incidentally, I've never had a toothache for the last year, so that isn't the reason I'm having this done. It just strikes me as being the ideal time for this unpleasant business. By the time you get this letter, they'll all be out, so you don't need to feel sorry for me. Kind of thought of everything, haven't I? I'm enclosing one of the feature columns for my Stars and Stripes just to give you an idea of what's in it. God bless you. Your loving son, J. Bruce.
So, of course, the first part of this letter is referencing that mission we just talked about, where he lost his whole crew. So he managed to, because he wrote this letter the next day. So he managed to at least send them a quick cablegram to say, like, I wasn't there or it wasn't me. But it's a big enough mission to where he's destroyed, or they must have heard about it.
Yeah, it would have been on the news.
Would have been on the news,
Yeah.
But the rest of this letter reveals some family secrets.
Well, I'm curious, when you say it was on the news,
It must have been, right?
it must have been on the news, like you
Well,
would think. I mean, we're not
About
talking.
nightly news. No, I'm
Okay,
not sure.
all
Maybe.
right.
I mean, I guess we could try to.
Newspapers.
We could look it up and confirm, but enough to where he felt like he had to send a quicker message
Sure,
to know,
sure.
like, I'm okay.
Sure, yeah.
So he figures they must have heard about it. I don't
Yeah,
know. And it
that's
was
interesting.
big enough. Well, I
Maybe-
mean, clearly,
maybe, yeah,
must have
okay.
been enough losses. But But I love did you like the false teeth? I did not know that Grandpa had false teeth.
That's great. that
I
you
really
didn't.
did not know. So clearly his secret stayed for a few generations.
I have a feeling, I feel a little bit guilty. Like, it's like saying, somebody's gotten a facelift or something. Like we're revealing now
We're revealing that he had false
his teeth weren't his. And he did not want to be seen without his teeth ever. And didn't want, even when he was very, when he was sick, he didn't, or not sick, but when he was near death, he didn't want anybody to see him without his teeth.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. All right.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, Grandpa, we're revealing this, but I think it's funny that he's like, well, this is a good time because nobody knows me over here.
Yeah, I thought that was great. I thought that was
I'm
great.
overseas, so this is a good time to not have my teeth.
Yeah, perfect.
And he's like, don't tell anyone that I don't have any teeth, which is hilarious. But yeah, why did he? I mean, we've talked about like his teeth coming out on the plate. Like we had that discussion on prior episodes,
right.
When Jack Lozen was our guest, and he was talking about the gas mask with the teeth coming out. The story he'd heard.
Well, didn't Susan bring up that he pulled the teeth out in
yes,
the field?
that's
put
what I
it
was,
in it.
yeah.
He went out,
yes.
walked out in the field, and jerked them
Yeah.
out.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Awful.
So, I mean, yeah, maybe, I don't know. I just think this is funny. I had no idea.
Yeah.
I had no idea. But you all knew as kids that he had false teeth, or did he even try to keep it from
No,
you
everybody
guys?
knew.
No, I knew.
Okay.
Yeah, I knew.
Okay, well, that's funny.
I never
But he didn't
saw
take
them.
him out.
Oh no, you never saw them. Never saw them.
Like he never
Uh-uh.
took him out just to
No,
mess with
somebody
you
just
guys?
asked me about that the other night.
Yeah, no, never. I mean, I never saw them. I didn't know where they were. I don't know where he kept them. Whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting.
Well, I never did either, so there you go. It works. Well, thank you for listening to Letters Home. We hope you continue to listen as we go through Bruce's story. You can listen to Letters Home on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or the Lowell Historical Museum website and YouTube channel. New episodes drop every Thursday. The Lowell Historical Museum has digitized versions of Bruce's letters, so you could read them in full, along with primary sources for most of the people, places, and events we've talked about here today, plus more. You can also follow the Lowell Historical Museum on Facebook and the Letters Home podcast on Instagram at Letters Home Lowell. Thank you to Roger McNaughton for our podcast music and to Lowell Radio for letting us record in their studio at Lowell High School every week. Stream it at lowellradio.org. See you next time.